Speaking of new young talent, our next comedian is really a funny guy. You've seen him on Comedy Central and Access TV. You've heard him on Sirius XM. I've known him for a long time. Please welcome Jeffrey Gurian, everybody.
Woo! Come on, Jeffrey. Woo!
Keep it going for Elon, everybody. Come on, let him hear it. Working so hard. Well, obviously you know I'm Jewish. What other schmuck would wear a sport jacket to a comedy club, right? And I apologize for the fanny pack. A fanny pack is so old school, you can't even use the term old school. But I need it. I keep my beeper and my Walkman in there. So how great is it to be together again in person and not on Zoom, right? How wonderful is that? Yeah, let me tell you, a lot of comics tried doing comedy on Zoom. Let me tell you how horrible that was. Doing comedy on Zoom is like standing on a highway and yelling out jokes to passing cars. It's like, hey, have you heard this one? Zoom! And I think that's where they got the name Zoom from. So, let me ask you guys a question. Do you ever find yourself hesitating just before you kill somebody? Has that ever happened to you? Or is that a stupid question? I don't know. I happen to love stupid questions. I love stupid. I recently heard the stupidest question that I've ever heard in my life. I actually heard one guy say to another guy, "Hey, aren't you the guy that got killed last week in that accident?" I really heard that. And just when I thought I heard the stupidest question I ever heard, the guy he asked said, "No, I don't think so." He had to think it over. You know, it's as stupid as when you go to the post office, and I know you've all had this experience. You go to the post office to mail a letter, and it's the thinnest envelope that you can imagine. It has one piece of paper. It's perfectly flat. And you finally get up to the woman to get a stamp, and she looks you in the eye, and she has the nerve to say, "Is there anything in there liquid, fragile, or potentially hazardous?" I'm like, who do I look like? Lex Luthor? Yeah, I figured out how to flatten glass. There's a 40-ounce bottle of nitro in there. Don't drop it. So you can probably tell just by looking at me, I fit in wherever I go. It's amazing how I just kind of blend into every crowd. Well, you know, Jews, we could talk about this. I was a very nervous child. I had a stomach ache since 1964. And I wasn't even born till 66. I was a very small child. I was born 9 months premature. And they didn't think I was going to make it. And unfortunately I didn't. Which is the main reason why I couldn't be here tonight. Which is probably the weirdest joke I've ever told. No, I did that once. I came out, I said to an audience, "I'm really sorry I couldn't be here. But unfortunately I passed away this morning." And the guy in the front was trying to figure it out. I heard him say, "What, is he a ghost?" And I'll tell you how I came up with that. This is true. I was reading the paper one day, and I read an article that said the police found a body floating in the East River, and I found myself thinking, "Gee, I hope it wasn't me." That's the truth. So I grew up in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood, but I never knew too much about religion. You know, the Old Testicle, the New Testicle, it was all the same to me. But we did have a mezuzah outside our door, but it wasn't for religious purposes. Jews are very accommodating. We want you to know where we live, just in case a pogrom breaks out in the middle of the night. We don't want you accidentally disturbing our Gentile neighbors. As a group, we tend to be very polite. I didn't have a nickname as a kid. Jews never get good nicknames. Never get good. Italian kids get amazing nicknames, great nicknames. Very often names that'll scare you. Sometimes just parts of the face. Nicky the nose, Joey the chin, Carmine the soft palate. I never got that one, but you never know. But Jews never get good nicknames. What are you going to call them? Saul Thrifty Schwartz? Who's going to be afraid of that, right? What's the worst they could do? Give you the wrong change? Mike the Mensch Mandelbaum? How about Abe the Kibitzer? Abe the Kibitzer Klugstein. You know? You'll never hear anybody say, "Hi, the Kibitzer's coming." You know, trust me, the only thing you have to hide is the pastrami. Unbelievable. So, in my neighborhood, when the kids wore any kind of religious symbols, they were very non-violent symbols, like a Jewish star or a chai. So when I grew up and I went outside the neighborhood, I was shocked to see kids wearing crucifixes. I'm like, holy shit, that guy's wearing a guy nailed to a cross. I didn't know it was a religion, I thought it was a warning. Like, this is what we do to you if we find you in the neighborhood. Because the truth is that Jesus was the victim of a violent crime. He was crucified. And people all over the world are wearing a reenactment of the way in which he was killed. In effect, they're wearing a crime scene. So I say it's a shame that Jesus had to be killed at all, but thank God he was killed in a way that people could wear. Because what if he'd been eating my shorts? What if he'd been crushed to death by a chariot? People all over the world, we wearing little chariots with a guy flattened down like a pancake. That's not a religion. You can't wear that to church. It would be disrespectful. How do you even make the sign of a chariot? Does it have 2 wheels or 3 wheels? Fights would break out. Well, what if he had some weird accident? He's walking down the street and an air conditioner falls on his head. Jewelers would go crazy trying to make something like that. You're kidding? A guy standing like this with a 10,000 BTU feathers coming out of him. That's not a religious symbol. So, to show you what a kind and compassionate man that Jesus was, he knew the Romans were going to kill him. But he knew that people would be wearing the way in which he was killed. So he went to the Romans and he said, "How are you going to do it?" And they said, "We're going to crucify you. You want a cross or a Jewish star?" And he thought about it for a minute and he said, "I don't know, what do you think looks better under a wife beater?" You guys have been amazing. I'm